How are you?
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started in a few seconds here. Just give me a minute. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Let's try to just. We have students from government class here tonight, don't we? You're going to be in for a nice evening. Before we get started tonight, I would like to acknowledge our mayor, Mayor Mendel Thompson's in the house. Mr. Mayor, could you come up, please? Before we get started with our meeting, you have a few kind words for us, I'm sure.
Do you want me to pray?
Yes.
Well, it is a joy to be here tonight, and the president has asked me to pray. So that's what I want to do.
Thank you.
So just let us pray. Lord, as we take time to enjoy the lights, the festive songs, shopping, school plays, and our faith during this month, it is special to just pause and say thanks for the special gifts that every student and teacher are to each of us. We say a heartfelt thanks for each of them and the impact which they have had on each of us. We also pause and say thank you for our school board and the time, talent, skill which they bring to do such important work. We especially pray for Dan and Mike as they start to serve, and pray that the board will feel your guidance on all that they do and help them to be wise and good stewards of the office which they hold. I pray for each student, teacher, coach, counselor, mentor, and district staff, that they will show care and grace to all and take the time to know the story of those that they meet with each and every day. Lastly, Lord, help each of us to show and live out your spirit of hope, love, joy, and peace each day, as each of us lead and support all who are a part of our schools, district staff, and city. We ask these things in your incredible name, and everyone said, amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anything you want to share with us before we get started?
Well, yes, sir. I would like Gary to come up, and the Mayor Pro Tem, David, to come up. We just want to say thank you for the strong bond which the city and schools have. This year has been an epic year where we've signed an MOU, and we're working very, very, very hard as a team to do some incredible things. Most of all, to help students and maximize all of the dollars which both of us don't have and need more of. And so I just want to say thank you and appreciate each and every one of you. Most of you know that Gary is on countdown. He has 22 hours of being a councilman left. So out of all of the work that he's done, I'm going to give him a chance to say the last word. Gary?
Well, tough job, guys. Glendora School District and the city has had a great relationship for a number of years, and I think over the last few years, we've been able to build that to an even stronger. We all represent the same people. The residents of Glendora are our customers. You guys will do an amazing job. I'm convinced of it. We will look forward to continue to working together to make Glendora even a better place for the kids that are here that are going to raise their families in the future. So thank you for taking the time to serve, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. That being said, at 7:07 p.m., we are going to reconvene from closed session, and we do have some reportable action from closed session tonight. Just find out. I'll start again. Thank you. It's 7:07. And we are going to reconvene from closed session and start our meeting again in open session. And we do have some reportable action tonight. So the reportable action from closed session, that is 2.3, the Glendora Unified Board of Trustees in closed session upon a motion by Trustee Garcia, seconded by Trustee Lopez, and a vote of 5 yeses, approved a settlement agreement for case 0AH 202-409-0396. That's all of our closed session items for this evening. So we will reconvene Monday, December 9th meeting of the Board of Education of the Glendora Unified School District. And we will go to the oath of office for 2 new board members. So we... Oh, excuse me, we do the roll, yeah, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong block. Roll call first, please.
Member Cam?
Present.
Member Munoz?
Present.
Clerk Lopez?
Here.
Vice President Garcia? Present. President Clifford?
Present. Thank you. And the next item is going to be the Pledge of Allegiance. So Diego, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fine job, Diego. Thank you. We have an agenda that needs to be adopted tonight. Could I have a motion for adoption of the agenda, please?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Okay, then that moves us to the organizational items. 4.1 is the oath of office. We have 2 new members to swear in. I'm sure we have family members here too. So the first person that we're going to swear in is Dr. Dan Cam. Are you ready? You're going to move over to the dais with your family? Or you want to do the swearing in first and then do the family picture next? So are you ready, sir?
Yep.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Daniel Cam,
Do
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, Dr. Cam.
So tonight I have with me my wonderful parents, Kara and Maurice, my awesome in-laws, Linda and Gordon, my gorgeous 3 little children, Gracie, Bobby and Joey, and my wonderful wife. Not here, that I think bears special mention, is my grandparents who moved to California to be teachers and collectively taught 80 years in the state of California. So, super excited. Thanks.
So if you wouldn't mind joining him for a picture up front? Okay. Make sure you get that logo in the background. There you go.
You want your parents in there, Dan?
Everybody's invited. Everybody's invited.
So we have you guys on this side to even out the aesthetic for me here. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
We have our second new candidate, Dr. Michael Munoz. Michael, if you wouldn't mind raising your right hand and repeating after me.
I, Michael Munoz,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Want to give a thanks to all my supporters, my brother, my sister-in-law, my sister Francine, my mom sitting right here in the front, my nephews and nieces here. Also, I think, my girlfriend back there, Mariah, for your support. I just want to thank all of you for this day today. Thank you.
Take a picture up front.
Picture.
Yeah, was it working?
Right front and center, and then have everybody kind of gather around you here. This way, just perfect. Perfect. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, the next item is 4.2, the board reorganization, election of officers for the period of December 9, 2024 to the December 2025 organizational meeting of the Board of Education. Can I call for nominations for president?
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate you again, Mr. Gary Clifford, to lead us through another year as our school board president.
I'd like to second.
All right, we have a nomination and we have a second. Any other discussion?
I would like to. I think it's imperative that I inform our community and our new trustees that traditionally, and I know we all here appreciate Glendora traditions, there has been a pipeline to the presidency. The clerk takes VP, VP takes the presidency. Now, there is no, they have to do it, I understand that is a tradition. And, but there's a reason for this tradition. And the tradition, the reason is that it is important that our board is prepared, that they receive training, and that they are ready for the governance that they are about to execute for this district. Without that training, without that experience, it is a disservice to our community if our trustees are not prepared. There are going to be very difficult decisions that are going to be made on this board. This board is going to have to make very difficult decisions. And they need to come from an informed and experienced place. So I support you as president, I do. But with that said, I think it's important that our community understand that need for that experience. And I do want our community to understand that I served VP, and so ideally in a real world, it would be that I would be president today. That is not what this body wants, and I support it 100%. But I do want our community to know that I am the only member of this board who has completed a master's in governance through the California School Board Association. I am the only board that has served as clerk and VP on this body. So it is important to understand where we're coming from as we move forward with this reorganization. I'm not saying it's gonna go one way and the other. I just think it is important for our community to understand where we are and where this is going. If Trustee Clifford remains as president, I request to continue serving as vice president, or your consideration to continue serving as vice president on this board.
Any other discussion? Thank you. All right, so we have a nomination and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any other discussion or any other votes? Okay, then it sounds like we filled the president's role. Thank you very much. I feel like I'm prepared and educated to move to the next level. Okay, the next one is a call for nomination for vice president. I would like to nominate Trustee Paul Lopez for vice president of the Glendora Unified School Board.
I'd also second that.
So we have a motion for vice president and a second. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
So we have 4-1, and it sounds like we have a vice president of the Board of Education for this year, next year. Congratulations, Vice President. The last item, or excuse me, the last appointment for nominations is for clerk. Can I have a nomination for clerk? I nominate Dr. Dan Kaam for clerk.
I second that motion.
We have a clerk motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, there's unanimously voted, so we have a president, a vice president, and a clerk. Let's take a moment, and if anybody has to move around, I think we're good. But congratulate the new board for 2009. And then we will move on to, let me scroll down to the next page. 4.7, which is a representative to the Los Angeles County Committee. Did I skip 4. Oh, I skipped a very important one, which I was going to make a nomination for another board member, but I was told that that nomination goes to the superintendent. So we need to have an appointment of the secretary to the Board of Education, and I am asking that the superintendent serve in that role again for 2025 period, from December 24 to December 25. Is there a motion and a second for that?
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? You duly retain that note-taking job, sir. We appreciate you and your capable assistant very much. Now, let me refer to, I'll tell you what, before we make the next appointments, which 4.7 down through about 4.11. We'll take a slight recess to let the new people congratulate their loved ones that they're not going to see very much on Monday nights, every other Monday night anymore. And so we'll take a 3 to 5 minute recess. Go ahead. Well, thank you very much for letting us, let the people go home that needed to go home and do their thing. We're gonna reconvene the meeting at 7:27, and we are going to talk about, selection of representatives. Now, all the board members up here, in addition to, coming here every other Monday night and doing things throughout the district, are on committees that are outside of the school grounds and in other areas that relate to school business. Some of those are in downtown LA, some of them are in other areas of the community, some of them are in Sacramento, and it just depends on where they go. And the first one of those appointments is a selection of representatives to the Los Angeles County Committee on School Districts. And currently, for last year's role, that was Trustee Paul Lopez's assignment. And what we're here to do is see, is that assignment you would like to keep, or does someone else want to do that? So I will ask on that okay, so may I have a vote or a motion? A motion to have Paul Lopez retain his seat on the LA County Committee on School District Organizations.
I can make a motion.
There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. We'll move to 4.8, which is a designation of board representation to the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association. It's an acronym, LACSTA. And on that particular board, I'm on that board of directors. And so I currently sit in that seat. I will retain that seat if it's the board's pleasure. So if there's a nomination for that?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? So we'll move down to the, where am I now? The rest of the trustee committee assignments. There is a Glendora Education Foundation where former trustee Robin Merkley was a member. Is there any board member here interested in being on the Glendora Education Foundation?
Seeing none, I'm happy to continue that work.
Okay, so I will make a motion for trustee Garcia to take the Glendora Education Foundation.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The next one is Glendora PTA Council, where trustee Garcia is currently on. Would you like to retain that seat?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The next one is the Coordinated School Health Committee, where former trustee Merkley was on. Is there any board member interested in the School Health Committee or have any questions about it?
With my background, I'd be interested.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, then Dr. Dan Kayam is now the Coordinated School Health Committee representative. The next one is the Chamber of Commerce Legislative Action, and that's the City of Glendora's and the Chamber Board. I currently am on that, and I serve a couple different roles on that. I'll like to retain it. Anybody have an issue with that?
Not an issue necessarily, but I would also like to serve on that board, and it is my understanding that we can have 2 members. So if that pleases the board, I'd like to also be on that.
That's fine with me.
Absolutely.
So can we have a motion for both? Okay, there's a motion for Clifford and Garcia to serve on the Chamber Legislative Action Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, then we have the Glendora Coordinating Council. Former trustee Merkley used to be in that role. Is there anybody who would like to be on the Coordinating Council rep?
I'll take that position.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Will we take that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, there you go. So now we have a new Glendora Coordinating Council trustee. We go to the LCAP Stakeholder Committee. Trustee Garcia is currently on that committee. Would you like to retain that seat?
Yes.
Okay, is it in the form of a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? The last one on my list is something called the SGVROP, which stands for the San Gabriel Valley ROP part. No, Regional Occupation Programs, okay? which is the things that used to be around like wood shop and auto shop and all those things that are more, it's a 2-year term. That used to be held by former trustee Reuter. Is there anybody on this board that would like to serve in that role?
I would like to take that role, please.
All right, trustee Garcia would like that role. Is it in the form of a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? So that looks to me like it completes all of those assignments. Is that true, Superintendent? Yes. All right, thank you very much. That was painless and very good to do. So we move down to, I believe, item 4.10, which is the calendar for the current board meetings, which has been agendized. May I have a motion for approval?
I motion to approve the calendar as agendized.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the calendar for next year? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay, the next item is item 411, the annual certification of authorized signature resolution. Is anybody presenting that, or is that form that we signed?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an authorized signature resolution that has been signed by the board. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this issue whatsoever? That being said, all those in favor?
Aye.
It passes 5-0. The last item is the conclusion of the organizational portion of the meeting. I believe everything was captured. Mr. Superintendent, do you sign off on that? Madam Secretary, anything else we have to know?
We are done with the organizational portion.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to board recognitions, which is 5.1, which is Red Ribbon Week, presented by Ms. Kent.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. DeGrazia, esteemed board members, and a warm welcome to our newest members of the board. My name is Daniela Castro-Kent, and I serve as the Educational Programs Coordinator.
Mrs. Kent, I'm sorry, I think your microphone is not working.
I'm surprised I'm not
I'm
loud
sorry.
enough.
I was like, when did I?
I can use the teacher voice. I feel like I hear it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Is it on?
Okay.
Okay. Can you hear me now? All right. My name is Daniela Castro-Kent, there it is, and I serve as the Educational Programs Coordinator. One of my key responsibilities in this role is organizing Red Ribbon Week activities across our district. This year, Red Ribbon Week was a tremendous success thanks to the incredible support from our PTA members at each site, along with the dedication of our staff. Their collective efforts made this initiative impactful for all of our students district-wide. Let's take a moment to show our appreciation with a round of applause for PTA and our staff. Our GUSD students engaged in a variety of meaningful activities, including spirit events, educational anti-drug lessons, and assemblies. As part of these efforts, they demonstrated their creativity and understanding by crafting inspiring works of art to promote this year's theme, Life is Like a Movie, Film Drug-Free, which you can see around the room here. Tonight, I am excited to present the winners of the Red Ribbon Week Art Contest, recognizing one outstanding artist from each grade level. Selecting the winners was no easy task, as you can see by the work out here, given the immense talent displayed by our students across the district. As I call your names, please come forward to accept your certificate and prize and proudly hold up your artwork. Well, actually, we've posted them, so you can point to your artwork. I kindly ask that all winners remain at the front for a group photo once everyone has been introduced. All right, so from our TK grade level, we have Mrs. Molnar and Mrs. Fogey's class from Cullen Elementary. Give them a quick round of applause. From Kinder, we have Nathan Nwachoku from Stanton. Come on up. From first grade, we have Ava Bertle from Sellers Elementary. Come on up. Come on, Nathan. There you go. And then wait right yeah, perfect. From second grade, hi Nathan, good job. Did I say it right? And that's Nathan. All right, we've got Nathan and Ava. From second grade, we have Christian Alawil, Sellers Elementary. Third grade, we have Joseph Rothrock from Cullen Elementary. So you're going to grab that and then you're going to wait back there. And from fourth grade, we have Avery Ah. Great job. From fifth grade, we have Madison Navarro from Lafayette. Sixth grade, we have Dylan Prakash from Goddard. Seventh grade, we have Abigail Villalobos from Sandburg. Eighth grade, we have Kathy Lee. And we're going straight to 10th grade with Caitlin Matthias. Eleventh grade, Michael Solano. And 12th grade, we have McKenna Burson. All right. Thank you. Great job.
Mrs. Kent, you get to join them.
Oh, I do. Okay, all right.
We need to squeeze a bit. And board members, do big smiles because you are in the background. If you want to stand up, you can be fully in the photo. All right, Mikey Bear.
Well, that was outstanding, and high schoolers, thank you so much. We had from first grade to 12th grade represented. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to item number 6.1, which is public comment. You guys know the rules for public comment. We have 3 speaker cards. One of them was rescinded. I'll call up Jonathan Lane. Jonathan, are you here? Come on up. Your 3 minutes of fame. Thank you, Jonathan. That's okay. Take your time.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just wanted to say congratulations to Michael and to Dan on being board members now. Over the past 4 years, it's been a difficult struggle as parents and here in the community and trying to get our kids back in school. And I just want to congratulate everyone just because there just seems to be some normalcy now. And you can see it in the kids' faces, you can see it in the parents' faces, you can see that there's a different kind of mood and atmosphere taking place now. But there's still some things that trouble me. For example, I just want to recommend that we don't do any work with leadership associates ever again. Okay? I realize he's local, he's an alumni, but when they're spending upwards of, when the district, the taxpayers are spending upwards of $25,000 to find candidates that you can pretty much do online. It's a fleecing of the taxpayers' money, and again, it's stealing from the kids at the end of the day. I also want to request that we see where our taxpayer money went. So, for example, there was a $7,500 credit card invoice that was paid by the former superintendent, and I want to see that relinquished. We as taxpayers have every right to see that $7,500, and I would like to see that, as well as many of the community, who was paid and what the services were for. And as a result of that, I would also want to just recommend that we just stop services with Spencer Covert. I understand he is your legal counsel, but he is the one that told us we can't see that invoice. And if that being said, well, then I think it's time for him to move along as well. Thank you.
The next card I have is from Mike Barron.
Good evening, school board trustees and Dr. DeGrazia and staff. This being the last board meeting of the year for 2024, I want to wish everybody a great Merry Christmas, a good holidays, and Happy New Year, because we won't see each other till 2025. It's amazing how fast 9 months can pass. And if you think about it, it's going to be 9 months before the new pilot ethnic studies program is going to be piloted. I mean, it's that close, 25, 26. And the last update that was ably provided by Dr. Prince, it was about 15 months ago on August 28th. And I think I would like to ask for a new update. What's going on with ethnic studies curriculum? Previously, Dr. Prince mentioned that there was going to be curating, collaborating, and creating the necessary elements of the GUSD ethnic studies curriculum. And she also reviewed a number of other tasks that were underway. But what was missing from that update, in my opinion, was a statement of the guiding principles that the Teachers Committee is using to guide their efforts in curating, collaborating, and creating that GUSD ethnic studies. What's the overarching strategy? Not just give me tasks about people who are doing this and doing that. What is the strategy? What are the guidelines that teachers are using to pick and choose what to include in that curriculum? So at that next update, I would respectfully request that those guiding principles or strategy be shared. I think this would be helpful to the community and to the new board trustees. In addition, updates about the state or status of the parent and student committees would be beneficial. And are all original members of the parent committee still active? If not, is there room for new additions? I also think it's important to know how far along in the process of completing this task is the Teachers Committee. Is it 25% done? Is it 50% done? What percentage of that curriculum is taken verbatim from the state model curriculum versus what's new? Those are important issues to know. I'm particularly interested, and I think the board should be interested to know what entities and sources have been accessed as part of this collaboration process. I also respectfully request that prior to the curriculum being piloted, that this board get an opportunity and that the community get an opportunity to see the curriculum, not after the pilot, before the pilot. It would be my hope and the hope of many in the community that the final ethnic studies curriculum would build bridges of understanding, not put students into boxes and pit them against one another. And I think that is where it's going, and I just would ask for that update to be scheduled even at this meeting if possible.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I have no further cards, so I will close the public comment period and move on to oral reports. The first oral report on my agenda is the student board member report. Diego, that sounds an awful lot like you.
Lefetre Elementary. At Lefetre, December is off to a great start. Last Monday, we began our annual toy drive. Our front office is collecting toys to give to families in need this season. On Tuesday, we participated in Giving Tuesday, aiming to raise $3,600 for playground updates. and we're happy to share that we doubled our goal. On Wednesday, our winter concert featured performances from our 4th and 5th graders in band, orchestra, and choir, filling us with holiday music. Finally, on Friday, we wrapped up the week with our Winter Wonderland Family Night. Sellers Elementary. Sellers had an amazing canned food drive in the month of December. We held a competition between the TK through 2nd grade students and the 3rd through 5th grade students. We brought in a lot of food, and the students were happy to help the community. Our annual toy drive is underway. We will be collecting toys until Monday, December 9th, with all the collected toys going to the City of Hope. Our PTA held cookies with Santa on Friday night, December 6th. There was a great turnout, and lots of families enjoyed an opportunity to take a picture with Santa. Goddard Middle School. Basketball tryouts were held on December 3rd and 4th. Goddard will field a boys and girls team for 7th and 8th grade. Teams were announced on Friday, December 6th. The Allegro Show Choir is preparing for its Sounds of Noel performance to be held on December 13th at Glenkirk Church. The performance will run from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. On Friday, December 6th, Goddard participated in the annual Teen Summit at the Glendora Teen Center. This is a day for students at Sandburg and Goddard Middle School to collaborate and connect with community leaders in Glendora to share thoughts surrounding issues that are pertinent to adolescent students. This year's theme is Empowerment in Action, Unlocking Your Leadership Potential. Avid Field Trip. Our Avid classes had the opportunity to tour both UCI and Chapman University on November 19th. The trip provided valuable exposure to both private and public universities, helping students think about their future educational paths and what they want from their college experience. ASB hosted a school-wide dodgeball tournament this week. Each teacher had a team compete for their class. Miss Stockham's class won first lunch, and Miss Llewellyn's class won second lunch. The Physical Education Department hosted our annual Turkey Trot fundraiser on November 22nd. Students participated for prizes such as Amazon gift cards, yummy desserts, and mile run passes. Donations will go to replacing and upgrading physical education equipment. Whitcomb High School. The Whitcomb staff is having fun with Undercover Spirit Days. Every day in the month of December, staff is doing creative things to build school spirit. It is fun to see how students react. We have 2 students who were chosen as winners in the Red Ribbon Week art contest. McKenna Burson was chosen as the 12th grade winner, and Michael Solano was chosen as our 11th grade winner. Congratulations to McKenna and Michael. Our Wildcat team won their first soccer game on Thursday against Chaparral. The Wildcats have had a great season this year. We had our second school site council meeting on December 5th. We reviewed the school safety plan and school goals for the year. We have consistently increased our attendance this year over last year. We are up by 3% in month 4, which is typically a lower attendance month due to the holidays. We celebrate a student weekly for having good attendance with no unexcused absences or tardies. They are named Wildcat of the Week. This week our winner is Nicholas Elhami. We are proud of our students and their improvements in attendance.
Thank you, Diego, very much. Any questions or comments for Diego before we move on? All right. Comments from the Board of Education. I will start to my left tonight. Dr. Cam.
I just want to thank the community for coming out and your support through this process. I'm really excited and looking forward to getting to work.
Trustee Lopez.
Well, I'd like to say welcome to our new board members again, and as I've welcomed you before. Dan being a drum major at Glendora High School and a very good drum major. Oops, sorry. Sorry, Christy. I guess I better start over saying I welcome the new board members here. Also, Dan being a drum major for Glendora High School back in the day, and a phenomenal drum major, as we've had a long line of them at Glendora High School. And Michael being, I know you went to Damien, but it's okay. We're gonna say it's okay. So, but welcome. Congratulations. I know a lot of the Red Ribbon Week winners have left, but congratulations to all of our students who were winners. And then just a huge shout out to our cross-country team at Glendora High School being CIF champions, finishing second in state, and then being invited to the Nike, Invitational is huge. That doesn't happen every day to high schools across the country. And then finishing 17th in the country. That is phenomenal. So congratulations to the runners and to the coaches of the Glendora High School cross-country team. And then also I have to congratulate the CIF football team. They made it to the finals. They got over the hump of not making it to the finals, losing in the semifinals, making it to the finals. Just didn't happen for them that night. But just a great job to all of our students and student athletes at Glendora High School. And just keep going, keep plugging away. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Garcia.
Okay, I wrote a little something because I didn't want to forget anything. As I step into my third year as your elected school board trustee, I want to express my gratitude for your trust. Although our board may look a little different after the election, my commitment to our students is unwavering, and I assure you that I will continue to put them first and continue the work to ensure that our district continues a forward-moving trajectory, ensuring that every student has the tools that they need for success. Going forward, this board will have to make impactful decisions on behalf of its students and teachers. I feel it is crucial that our executive cabinet provide clear recommendations and data in order for this board to make well-informed and data-driven decisions. I encourage our community to stay engaged and ask questions. Raising children today looks very different than the way we were raised or the way our grandparents were raised. We need to be flexible and commit to hearing the voices of our students, our teachers, and current GUSD parents in order to ensure that we are meeting the needs of today's students. I welcome our new board members and commit to working collaboratively despite the divisive politics that took place during the campaign. I expect and trust that the politics will stay outside of the walls of this boardroom. In time, you will understand that at times our vote will not be popular with everyone. I hope that you always remember that the decisions we make directly impact our students and our teachers, and that you commit to learning about the role you are taking on. Understand your role and its limitations, and continue to learn just like you would in your professional careers. Just as we expect our students and teachers to be continuously learning, we too should set an example by attending the many trainings that are available to us. Some of us did this past weekend, and I was happy to work with you guys then. This is a board that is new to governance in public education, in a public education setting, and we owe it to our community to ensure that we are prepared and informed to do the work that we have been elected to do. We are not here to do what we want as individuals. We are public servants, protecting public education and advocating for our students and teachers in a fiscally responsible way. That is the job. Thank you all, Michael, Dan, for stepping up to do this work, and I look forward to continuing to serve GUSD with you on the team. With that said, I also would like to say happy holidays. I hope everyone has an amazing break. But I want to send a special message to our seniors who are currently applying to colleges. Congratulations. I know this is a very stressful time. I have a senior at home. And I just want to remind you that a college will not make or break you. Your hard work and dedication to pursuing your dreams will. So no matter where you end up, you bring yourself and that grit that we know you have, and I know that you will be successful. So sending you big hugs and positive vibes, and I hope you are able to just release and enjoy the holidays, and hopefully you got all those applications in.
Dr. Munoz.
All right, first off, I want to thank the community and all my supporters for voting me in. I understand that this is a very important role for the city, and I'm going to take it very serious and do what's best for our kids. And I want to thank each and every one of you for giving me the support to be here today. I wouldn't be here without you guys. Also, I'm very excited to work with a wonderful, great group of board members here. Got to meet each and every one of you, and I want to just thank you for your welcoming me as a new board member. Lastly, I just I want to just tell the community that I'm going to do what's best for the community. I want to serve to be the best, board member I can. I love to hear everyone's input. It's a collaborative effort. I know I cannot do it alone. I have to work with these 4 great, wonderful people, and we have great, diverse backgrounds, which I love, because that's what makes a very strong board. I also want to thank the school district and Dominic for welcoming me into my position. Got to spend some time with them in the training courses, and Monica and Dan one-on-one. Also, thank you, Tracy, for welcoming me into this position. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and in closing, I just want to say that I wanted to kind of jump on the football game bandwagon. What a great night that was. When I looked up into the stands, the stands were full. It reminded me of a homecoming game, and it wasn't a homecoming game, but I saw so many alumni. I was down on the field with some very special alumni that played football over the years or coached football, and it was just a very impressive night of Glendorans that cared about our kids on the field, and the whole pomp and circumstance of the halftime and the band. It was a great night, and there were a lot of Glendorans there, and I thought that was fun. Our CIF football or track team and all of it was cross country, right? It was just phenomenal going through that, so I just wanted to make note of that. We had a couple of speakers tonight, and so hopefully during your comments, Mr. and Superintendent, we can talk about whatever those issues are, and maybe offline, I'd like to know, if the members of the public want to see a document, what the reasons they can't see it are. I'd like to go over that with you to just daylight the documents if we can, and get over whatever that is. I don't know if there's any threat to national security for that. I just don't know what the rules are. So I'd like to follow that up, and then I think, Dr. Prince, if you can make any comments or let us know when the updates for the ethnic studies are, that would be fine if you wanted to do that with the superintendent's comments or not. I just wanted to do that. And in closing, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. That was a family time where I think everybody comes together. It was a real special time in my family. We had a new grandchild, and he was very much welcome into the family. More importantly, we won't have another meeting, so I wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. It's a time again to celebrate a holiday where everybody comes together. And it's a nice holiday because the kids don't have school. So it's time to recharge, meet with family, and like you said, get ready for all of your college endeavors or for the workplace, whatever you're going to do. But one of the things I noted is it's also college football playoff season. And when you can look in the stands, you see all of those happy students and all of those colleges are very engaged with their extracurricular activities, and that always makes me excited for students. In fact, one of them, they highlighted one of the quarterbacks in the NFL for the Buffalo Bills. Anybody know what his name was? Josh Allen, right? Well, Josh Allen was this fabulous athlete, and he was from California, from the agricultural part of California. He didn't get any offers into the NFL, not any offers. He wrote thousands of letters to all the coaches. Please look at me. I'm a great athlete. Nobody paid attention to him. So he went to a local junior college for 1 year, and then the University of Wyoming saw him playing football, I think, at the junior college, and said, "Wow, look at this guy." And they brought him over, and then he made history. But I just want you to know that don't toil, because he toiled. He wasn't accepted by any college he wanted to go to. He got no scholarship, and now he's one of the standout leaders in a huge organization in Buffalo, New York, and one of the most talented players in the National Football League. So that just goes to show you, he didn't lose heart. He didn't get any acceptance letters from any college, but he still made it, went to a junior college, then a four-year college, and made history. So I just thought that was a story for everyone that's looking to get into the college of their dreams. There's a lot of local colleges here that can take your application and your time and give you time to find that college of your dreams. We have great resources with Citrus and Mount Sac, and they're just fabulous. So I just wanted to say that, and with that we can move on to our next item. which is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Clifford, members of the board, Diego, nice job again. Distinguished guests, 2 weeks to go, a little less than 2 weeks, until the end of the semester. December 20th will be our final day before break. Then we'll have that break, well-deserved at that for students and staff and families. And we'll be back in action in the new year, 2025, on January 6th. Special congratulations to Dr. Munoz, Dr. KM. We spent some time this past week at the CSBA, California School Boards Association Conference in Anaheim. It's their annual conference, and they've already demonstrated to be lead learners in our district. This is a governance team, everyone up here on the dais, working together in the pursuit of student achievement and attaining student goals and equipping them to attain those goals. And we're all working together for that same goal. So we'll continue to do that. You're going to hear from Ms. Walzak and Ms. Medina in just a little bit on the first interim report, a budgetary report. It's an annual requirement. Business team's done a lot of work, heavy lift, to make that presentation tonight. They'll share some great information. They are our lead financial stewards in ensuring that we follow everything that we need to do. Some good news on enrollment will be shared within that presentation as well. Kudos, to repeat, CIF champion cross country, second in the state, 17th in the nation at the Nike Invitational, incredible feat. Football, to be a finalist in CIF is no easy task, the first time since 1989. That's impressive as well. I wanted to highlight and show the well-roundedness of our students, though. Speech and debate. San Gabriel Valley Debate Invitational a couple weeks ago. The team of Emily Lynn, Jaden Vibberts, and Isabella Denny, first place, team awards. Yep, individual. We had several students place under individual speaker awards. We had 13th place overall, Isabella Denny, 8th place, Jaden Vibberts, 5th for the novice division, Verna Lee, and first place novice, Sanvi Rowe. School awards, overall, 3rd place overall and 2nd place in the tournament. The speech and debate team is putting in a ton of hours, ton of work, so they deserve as much credit as our other teams and everything they're doing as well. So we wanted to note them. And Spartan Garden this past Saturday at Sandburg Middle School, I believe it was from 10:30 to 2:30, they had a chef on hand, and that will happen again next Saturday, and then I believe again in January. There may be a few spots still available, so check those online, and the most recent updates from the district as far as the monthly or quarterly reports. Wishing you all a wonderful, safe holiday with those that you love, and we want to see you back after the break, returning to school on January 6th, and we look forward to what 2025 will bring you and us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. DeGraze. Anything else? Okay.
Not at this time.
All right, let's move on to our discussion action items. The first one is item 8.1, to approve the AB 1200 Public Disclosure Agreement and direct staff to adjust the appropriate accounting codes and update the 2024-2025 district budget.
I'll speak to that item. So AB 1200 is a county document required to all school districts who are considering compensation or raises for their employees. This item is actually directly related to 8.2, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes, which deals with the completion of negotiations with our Glendora Teachers Association. For this item, the document verifies through the county that the Glendora Unified School District has the funds to fund the negotiated agreement in the amount of $1,123,000. The funding source that we're using is the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant. That is a one-time fund that exhausts in 2026, and so we decided to use that funding stream to keep this salary increase from continuing to hurt our general fund. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Any questions of staff? Okay, can I have a motion for approval of 8.1?
I motion to approve 8.1.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the issue? All those in favor? Any opposition? Okay, it passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 8.2, to approve the implementation of the tentative agreement between the GUSD, the GTA, and the Glendora Leadership Association, which is another new acronym to me, the GLA, unrepresented management and confidential employees as presented.
Thank you. I'd like to actually welcome the president of the Glendora Teachers Association, Mr. Doug Granquist, up to the podium, please. So, dear members of the board, Mr. Granquist and I, the president of the Teachers Association, are pleased to jointly communicate the successful conclusion of our collaborative negotiation sessions. Both parties navigated these discussions with mutual respect, clear communication, and shared commitment toward reaching an agreement that's not only reflective of the value we put in our dedicated teachers, but also aligned with the district's strategic goals.
Key outcomes of the agreement include a 2% off-schedule, off-salary, one-time payment to help offset the cost of health benefits, an increase to the special education stipend from 5% to 7.5% retro to July 1st, 2024, additional special education caseload compensation starting January 1st, 2025, an increase in class size overload compensation from $150 to $200 starting January 1st, 2025, and contract language changes in the areas of bereavement, catastrophic leave, reduced workload, and PE and elective class sizes.
As previously mentioned, the AB 1200 document states that this is going to cost the district $1,123,000. The funding source that we're using is a block grant that expires in 2026, so it's not encroaching on the general fund. These documents detail a variety of information, but really it was the fiscal foresight of our joint team to use this fund to maintain the fiscal integrity of the district.
We express gratitude, or sincere gratitude, to both the negotiating teams who worked diligently and constructively to achieve an agreement that stands in the best interest of all parties involved. It is our collective belief that the terms of this agreement recognize and honor the immense contributions of our teachers and also reflect our shared responsibility toward fiscal financial stewardship.
We remain dedicated to maintaining a spirit of collaboration and mutual respect. We are thankful for the dedication of our teachers and thank the board for their consideration on this item. Thank you.
Okay, any questions of staff before we move forward? May I have a motion?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion before we vote?
All right, no discussion. I just want to say thank you and congratulations to both teams, because we always want to give our teachers, you know, what makes them happy. We don't always have all of the funds to do that, but I appreciate the creativity of our executive team in finding the money in this grant, because that's what we need right now, that creativity, that look of like, where can we not say no, but find a creative way to say yes to our teachers. So I appreciate that work that you all did and the collaboration between the two. Thank you. Thank you.
And Doug, I would just like to thank you for your leadership. I think every time I've met with you, you've been very professional. You've represented the teachers fairly and listened to both sides of the aisle going through this. I echo Trustee Garcia's comments where I want, you know, I personally want our Glendora teachers to be paid more than anybody else. We're trying to figure out the wherewithal to do that, and we've made terrific strides in that arena, I think, in the last 3 to 5 years. And we're going to continue to do that. So I'm personally very appreciative of everyone that makes up the organizations that you represent during this, for your professionalism during negotiations, for the way that Dr. Osborne relayed the relationship to us through the negotiation. I was very proud of you and all the teachers, so thank you again. Any other comment before you vote? Okay, all those in favor? Is there any opposition? Congratulations, sir, to you and your representatives.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to item 8.3, the exciting item of the night, the 2024-2025 first interim report of our budget as presented.
All right, well, good evening, esteemed board members, Dr. DeGracia, cabinet, and our community members, as well as our students. Welcome to the first interim presentation. I am so proud. This is the most we've had as an audience for these reports. We usually clear the room, so So we want to talk to you about the annual financial cycle for our school district. So basically, we have, right now we're actually starting to talk about the 2025-26. So during this time, we're talking about what our revenue projection, enrollment projection, and whatnot. And then right now we're in the cycle, which is the yellow, which is the first interim report. So basically throughout the year, we're looking at any changes in revenue from the state, any changes in our enrollment projection, as well as changes in some of our expenses, such as salaries, benefits, changes in materials costs, as well as the cost of contracted services. So during this time, we make those adjustments, and then, as we all know, the budget is fluid, so it's constantly changing. So anytime there's all those changes, we want to make sure we update our information as well. And on the first interim report, we're talking about some of the financial results we currently have, as well as projections. So we updated the adopted budget, which was approved by the board on June 20th, 2024, with the most current data that we have available. It helps determine the fiscal viability of the district, to make sure we have to show the county as well as the state that we have what it takes to be in the positive certification for the next 2 years. And then I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Medina, who is our Director of Fiscal Services, to talk about some of the first interim adjustments that we did.
Thank you, Danette. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the adjustments that we captured from at first interim that we did not account for at adopted budget. So when we update first interim, we do update our ending fund balances, and that's because we have closed the books by first interim. When we do adopted budget, we have not yet closed the book, so we don't have a final ending balance. So you'll see an adjustment to our ending fund and balance, which is the beginning fund balance for the 24-25 school year. We also update the categorical revenues and expenses. There are at times updates to those allocations, so then we update those at first interim. We also adjust our LCFF revenues, and this really affects the out years. So our 25-26 and 26-27 enrollment projections have changed our LCFF funding. We also accounted for the salary and benefits for the 2% off schedule payment. We also reclassified some of our salary and benefits to restricted funds, and the reason for this was to create one-time savings, being creative, to try and save money on the unrestricted LCFF or on the unrestricted general fund side. We moved reclassified some salaries to the restricted funds to create one-time savings in the current budget year. Sorry, I think there's some connectivity with the clicker. I'm going to go over the first interim assumptions. So for the ADA, this is, our funding is based on the higher of the prior year or the 3 prior year average. So currently our 3-year prior year average is higher. So it takes 23-24 ADA, 22-23 ADA, and 21-22 ADA, and that average is 6,190.77. So that is our funded ADA for 24-25. Our current ADA is 6,078.21. So that funded difference is 112.56. And the reason I wanted to illustrate that is because as you see between the last 3 prior years, our ADA is going down. So our higher ADA numbers are dropping off. So which means that in the out years, we'll take a look at whether the prior year ADA is going to be higher or if it's still to our benefit to continue to do the 3 prior years as our average. This slide represents just a historical enrollment for our district. So you'll see that in the last 10 years we have experienced a decline. And if you look at the 24-25 school year, we are very, very happy to report that we did not experience a decline. We actually gained 21 students. And when we did adopted budget, we usually use the method of the rolling forward. So our 4th graders become our 5th graders and so on and so forth. So we didn't anticipate, that our enrollment was going to actually increase. So we had increases across all grade levels. So, some of that has to do with the interdistrict enrollment being higher. That really does help us in the outgoing years. We still using that method. So currently in 24-25, we do have an enrollment of 6,384. For the 24-25 school year, we are projecting a more gradual decline using that same rolling method forward of 6,309 for 25-26, and now 26-27 we're projecting 6,259 as our enrollment. So this graph represents our ADA. So you'll see there is an increase in our ADA in the 2 out years, and that is due to the enrollment. So because our enrollment is projected to be higher, our ADA also is projected to be higher. So our 24-25 funded ADA is 6,190. Our projected 25-26 is 6,078, and our 26-27 is 6,014.
Will you explain to our viewing audience what ADA means, please?
Yes, it is our average daily attendance. Yes, so we're funded on our average daily attendance. So this is why your schools will communicate that it's very, very important to attend school, because if you're not at school, you do not generate any revenue for the district. So please spread the word, tell your friends. It's very, very important to come to school. It does create money for our district, which benefits students and programs. So the higher the ADA, so the higher the attendance percentage that we have, the more funding we receive per student. You're welcome. So the next few slides, we're going to go over our general fund revenue. This is the components of our general fund revenue. So we have our LCFF entitlement, our federal revenue, state and local. So this illustrates the difference between what we were projecting at adopted budget versus what we are projecting now at first interim. So at adopted budget, our LCFF projection was 76.1 million. Our federal revenue was about 2.8 million. Other state revenue was 4.3 million. Local revenue was 7.5 for a total of $90.9 million at adopted budget. Now at first interim for our LCFF entitlement, it is 75.9 million, 2.7 million for federal and 9.3 for state and 10 million for local revenue for a total of 98 million. So the last column shows the change between the two projections, and some of the causes for that change have to do, especially when you look at our state revenue, is the STRS on behalf entry that we have to recognize. And so we historically, we have not recorded this entry until we close the books. And I'm going to explain what that entry is. So the STRS on behalf is a contribution made by the state of California on behalf of school. So it's for our Cal STRS retirement system. So it's not money that we are really able to touch or are able to do anything with. We just have to recognize it in our financial books. So we have to book it in our revenues, and then we also have to book it on the expenditure side. So that is why we do see a significant difference in the state revenue, because that STRS on behalf is about $3.5 million. And the other grant that we also received were the wellness grant. So we, our wonderful SPED director, I don't think he's here anymore, but I will give him a shout out. He applied for a wellness coach grant for, it was about $950,000. So that is something that increased our revenue in the current year, and which will be good for our district too, because it's supposed to generate revenue and sustain itself in the out years. And we also received a contribution from the city of Glendora for the aquatic center. So we received $600,000 for the aquatic center. So those are some of the changes that we are now recognizing at first interim, is why you see that change in revenue there.
Sorry. The wellness coach grant of 900,000, did that go from the state or local revenue?
Local.
Okay, thank you.
And now our general fund expenditures here. Here as well, we are illustrating our adopted budget versus our first interim. So our certificated salaries at adopted budget were about $43.8 million. Our classified was $16.4 million. Employer benefits was $19.9 million. Our books and supplies, $3.9 million. Services and other operating expenditures, $13 million. Our capital outlay, $1.7 million. Our other outgo, $705,000. And then our transfers of indirect cost is $122,000. So our total expenditures at the projections for adopted budget were about $99.5 million. So then for first interim, we have updated those projections to be for certificated salaries, $44.2 million, classified salaries, $17.3 million, employee benefits, $22.7 million, books and supplies, $5 million, services and other operating expenses, $14.2 million, capital outlay, $1.7 million, other outgo, $705,000, and our indirect, $120,122. So our total expenditures are $105.9 million. So you'll also see the changes illustrated in that last column. So some of the reasons for those changes from adopted budget to first interim have to do with that STRS on behalf. Remember, I explained we book it in revenue, but we also have to book it on the expense side. We also accounted for some changes with utilizing some of our one-time grants, such as the Arts and Music grant, the 2% off schedule, and, just trying to really utilize our one-time grants creatively. So some of those materials, we utilize those one-time funds, and why we see some of those changes in our expenditures. So this chart here is going to illustrate our unrestricted fund balance. So this is at closing. Unaudited actuals is where now we have closed our books and we do have our final ending fund balance. So at unaudited actuals, our beginning fund balance was $13.7 million. Revenues came in at $85.2 million. Our expenditures were $65.8 million. And then we have contributions to special education and our routine restricted maintenance. So that is actually a reduction to our revenue of $16.4 million. And so we actually ended up with a surplus of $2.9 million when we closed the books. So our ending fund balance for 23-24 was $16.7 million. At adopted budget, so now adopted budget has that final ending fund balance, right, because we've closed our books. We had projected at adopted budget that we were estimating $78 million in revenue, $66 million in expenditures. Our contributions to special education and routine restricted maintenance would be $16.2 million. So we were projecting a deficit of almost $5 million with an ending fund balance of $11.7 million. So at first interim, we made our updates, and so our ending fund balance again is still that 16, or our beginning fund balance is still that 16.7, revenues of 78.2, expenditures of $64.4 million, and then our contribution actually reduced to $15.6 million, and we actually, our deficit is a little under $2 million. And the reason for some of that is because we did move funds to restricted funds. So just to create one-time savings on this side of the unrestricted general fund balance. We also received additional revenue for SPED, which is why we see a lower contribution in that last box, or that contribution to special education row. So our projected ending fund balance for first interim is now $14.8 million. This now just illustrates the components that make that ending fund balance. So at unaudited actuals, we have our non-spendables, which are, it's just basically we have like a stores inventory, we have some prepaid expenses, and we also have some revolving cash. It's $122,000. Our assigned is $2.1 million. This is our restricted lottery. And then our reserve, our 3% that we're required to maintain is about $3 million. And then we have the additional 3% that the board requires, which is why you see that additional $3 million there. So that the unassigned unappropriated is $8.3 million. So the total ending fund balance is that $16.7 million. At adopted budget, these are where our projections then. So we were projecting 11.7 as our ending fund balance, but now we have updated our first interim with our revenue projections and expenditures. So we are estimating that our ending fund balance will be $14.8 million at first interim. So now I'm going to hand it over back to Jeanette. She's going to go over the multi-year assumptions.
All right, thank you, Araceli. For the multi-year assumptions, part of the report that we have to submit, like I mentioned earlier, is showing that we can sustain our current financial for the next 3 years. So we are given a dashboard from the county, and they let us know what we can do as far as COLA and other things like that. So for the enrollment, So for the enrollment projection we talked about earlier, we're using 6,384 for 24-25, 6,309 for 25-26, and then 6,259 for 26-27. Our projected current year ADA is for 24-25 is 6,078.21, and then for 25-26 is 6,006.96, and 26-27 is 5,959.47. So for funded ADA, as Araceli had mentioned earlier, we can use one of the three methods. The first one is basically the higher of your current year ADA, your prior year ADA, or an average of the 3 prior years ADA. So for the current year of 2024-25, our funded ADA is based on the 3 years average. For 25-26, however, our funded ADA, the highest of the 3 is the prior year ADA, which is 6,078.21. And then for 26-27, we're back to utilizing the 3 prior year average for our funded ADA because that's generating the highest revenue. For COLA, for this year, our COLA is 1.07. For 25-26 is 2.93. And then for 26-27 is 3.08. Again, these are just projections. We are actually going to be attending in January a budget update from the governor's office, and we at that time will be able to have a better estimate or better projection of what some of these numbers are going to be. And then our unduplicated pupil count for this year's 35.13, for next year's 29.29, and then for the third out year is 26.66. For the multi-year assumptions, again, we wanted to talk about some of the assumptions that we have to use on the expenditure side. So for the statutory benefits, we have the STRS, which is the state teachers retirement system, and that's been steady at 19.1%. Medicare is at 1.45%. State unemployment insurance, or SUI, is 0.05%. And then our workers' comp is at 1.406 for this year, as well as the next following years, for the rounding thing. But for this certificated total is 22.01% for statutory benefits. On the classified side, we have the retirement system, which is the PERS, and then we at 27.05 this year, 27.6 this year, and 28% in the 26-27 year. We also, as for classified employees, there's also the Social Security tax, which is 6.2%, and then Medicare 1.45% across the board. State unemployment is 0.05%, and then workers' comp is the same at 1.406. So for 2024-25, the classified staff's statutory benefits is 36.16. For 25-26 is 36.71, and projected for 26-27 is 37.11%. On the revenue side, back on the revenue side, which is our LCFF, or the local control funding formula, what makes up that amount is broken down into the base grant, the supplemental grant, and any add-on. Unfortunately, we do not receive any concentration grants as most of our neighboring cities do get, and that's because our unduplicated pupil count is less than 50%. So if our unduplicated pupil count is more than 50%, then you get an additional pot of funding, which is called concentration grant. So for 2024-25, our base grant is at $69.8 million. Supplemental is 4.9. Add-ons, which is any TK, transportation, things like that, and that totals 75.9%. On an average, an ADA and it's about $10,500. There's different ADA rate based on grades. So from TK through third is different, 4 through 6, 7 through 8, and then 9 through 12, and then the 9 through 12 generating the highest ADA rate at about a little over 12,000 per ADA. On the unrestricted general fund balance we just wanted to illustrate, basically Araceli talked about it earlier, but what she talked about was comparing it between an audited actuals, our adopted budget, and our first year interim. This one is basically illustrating what our ending balance is for 24-25, 25-26, and 26-27. So for the ending fund balance, when we had first this year is projected to be 14.8 million. For 25-26 is 12 million, and for 26-27 it's 8.2 million. And then we're showing deficit. We're still showing deficit for 24-25 of 1.8, 25-26 2.7, and the third out year 3.8. And again, this is just for the unrestricted general fund. And then the components of the general fund for 24-25, the non-spendable 40,000. We have the assigned 2.1, and then reserve for economic 3.1, board additional reserve 3.1, and then unassigned 6.2 for a total of 14.8. And for 25-26, we have 40,000 spendable, assigned 2.1 again, and then 3.3 million, about 3.1 for REU or reserve for economic uncertainties, and then unassigned is 3.7. The third out year is pretty much similar, except our unassigned and unappropriated is only $30,000, and our total ending fund balance is 8.2 million. On the contribution side, or I don't want to say encroachment, but is what the general fund basically has to contribute related to special education, and the routine restricted is required by the state, and that is basically taking the total of 3% of the total general fund expenditures, and that is what we have to contribute for routine restricted. And for 24-25, our special ed contribution is 12.4 million. Our routine restricted contribution is 3.2 for a total of 15.6 million. For 25-26, 12.6 for SPED, and routine restricted is 3.1 for a total of 15.7. And then the third out year, 26-27, we have SPED contribution of 12.9 and routine restricted of 3.1 for a total contribution of $16 million. What are some of the budget challenges that's ahead? So even though we saw an increase in enrollment for this year, we're still anticipating to experience declining enrollment. Declining enrollment is not the problem. It's not just here in Glendora. It's all throughout the state. So we still anticipate some of that, and hopefully not as much. And then, of course, we have the step and column salaries adjustment. We want to be competitive, so we try and do our best to make sure that we have competitive salaries and benefits. So that's really an ongoing thing that we have to always consider. And then CalPERS pension contribution, that's continuing to rise. So like I mentioned earlier, the teacher certificated pension has been steady at 19.1. However, for classified, it's continuing to increase every year. And then we have the rising operational costs. Insurance, our general liability insurance, increased by almost 400,000 from last year to this year. It went from almost 900,000 to about 1.2, 1.3 million dollars. The continuing costs of some of our materials and supplies, and of course the cost of some contracted services. We've definitely seen a lot of increases in those types of things. And then, as always, the facilities needs. Our facilities are aging. It's been around for a long time, and we don't get enough funding from the state or the federal to do any additional type of upgrade or things like that. We have to really think, and we have to think outside the box so that we can do some of the things that our facilities that we need to upgrade and update. And then also we have some of the addressing on the educational side, addressing the learning loss, and then the mental health support. So we're asking our wonderful board to certify the first interim, as to approve our first interim, but we're certifying it as positive, which means that we're meeting the 3% minimum required reserve. And then the positive certification is indicating that the district will be able to meet its financial obligation for the current year as well as the two subsequent fiscal years. And then I'll turn it over again to Araceli to talk about the next steps.
All right, so our next steps now are, if approved, we will submit our first interim to the county, so the Los Angeles County Office of Education for review. Coming up is also our P1, this is our average daily attendance. So we do reporting on our attendance, and P1 is the first one we do of the school year, which is due in January. We also have the governor's update coming up in January, so we're looking forward to that to see what kind of updates, and hopefully there'll be, good news down ahead for school districts. Second interim will be due March 15th, so we'll be back here to illustrate this wonderful presentation at second interim sometime in March. And then P2 is our next attendance report that we do, which is due in April. And P2 is what we're funded off of. So is another reason why at schools we also push, like right before we submit our P2 attendance, that kids attend school, because the higher that our attendance is at P2 is how we're going to be funded. So those are our next steps. And that is the end of our presentation. So thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, we will open it up.
Well, thank you, and the students who stayed for that presentation deserve extra credit. Have your teacher call us, and we will vouch for you. You're that much smarter than the average bear. Thank you very much for that presentation. I will bring this back to the board and ask if there's any questions to the presenters tonight.
I have one question, just a clarification, no, a question actually. For your multi-year assumptions here, unduplicated pupil percentage, you go from this year 35.13 to in 2 years 26.6. What is that based off of?
So the unduplicated pupil counts based on a few factors. One is the direct certification, which is basically, what do you call it? Medi-Cal.
Reports you get from the
CNIPs
state
and things
about
like that,
services,
yeah,
okay.
correct. And then also we have there's also where they have to fill out an application. And a few years ago, there was a misunderstanding, I suppose, where we published an income verification, and so that kind of generated a higher unduplicated pupil count for the last few years, and then now it's back to normal. So on an average, we've been averaging anywhere from like the 20s, like anywhere from 27 to 29%. That's been historically our unduplicated pupil count percentage.
I guess my question is, it's going down about 10%. Are you saying that that's kind of the projection of that because there's less unduplicated students, or there's less of a need, or you're not getting those reports back? Sorry, I hope my question was clear.
I just wanted to add a little bit to that. So part of the unduplicated count is when families fill out a meal application. But now that meals are universally free, less families are submitting a meal application. So it's also another reason why it's important to communicate and send that messaging out, that it's important to complete that meal application, because it does give us additional funding. So we think part of it has to do with the universal meals and less people completing the meal applications, which is why we're seeing a higher decline.
I have one question, and you showed a lottery number or something up there. I thought I saw something like that. I heard on the less than accurate media that there was a $500 million or a $250 million lottery ticket that wasn't claimed, and that goes right back to the lottery, but it doesn't get the normal lottery cut. The 100% of that unclaimed tickets goes back to the schools. So I did the math real quick of how many school districts there were and what that would be if it was equitable. And to me, it was like $400,000 per district. Do you guys know about that? And is that windfall come to, how does that alleged windfall matriculate down to Glendora Unified School District?
I heard about the unclaimed ticket on the news, but I haven't heard as to like what happens if it matriculates down to our district or have.
Well, according to the media, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think we know how much it's just, we don't have a way to project how much we're gonna get. We're just gonna get more money once they do their final like quarterly payments. I don't know if they'll give any updates, like, or we can probably inquire about it.
Could you check? Because to me, it was very deliberate. They said, I want to think it was not yesterday, but the day before, they had till midnight. They had not done it. So that alleged big pot of money goes directly to school. And I know the schools actually receive a small percentage of what I believed the lottery said we were going to get, but this is allegedly 100% of it. So could you check for us and maybe at the next
we'll definitely reach
report
out
back and see
to
if there
the
was any truth to that report that I heard and the timeliness of that?
Yes, we'll do for sure and get back.
That's my only budget question.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry, one more. Do you have a question, Dan? Okay. I was going through my notes here. So 2023 unaudited actuals, you had a surplus of 2.958. 2024 adopted, it was a deficit of 4.9. And then first interim, a deficit of 1.8. I know you mentioned that we moved funds to restricted funds, right? And then we received additional SPED funds. Do you have those numbers anywhere here where you can account for that? It looks like $3 million.
Which one are we talking? This one?
No, that's, oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Where's our notes?
Is it the general fund revenues?
This one.
Okay. Sorry, we're trying to go through our notes.
It was the
here.
unrestricted general fund balance. The pages are not numbered, sorry, otherwise.
Are you talking about 10,
Not that one.
slide 10?
They're not numbered, so.
Oh,
Yeah, I think this was just.
this is what, so we're showing,
Yes, 10.
okay, so
There.
unaudited actuals, we're showing a surplus of 2.9, and then at adopted budget, 4.9, and then first interim, 1.8. So a lot of, part of that is, a big part of it is moving some of the expenses from unrestricted to restricted. So for example, once we receive the grant, that's about $950,000 that we can utilize to pay for the salaries of our student support specialists. So the salaries of our student support specialists were unrestricted. So when with this funding, that 1 million in salaries will then go from unrestricted to restricted. So that's one of it. Another reason are some of the interventionists. So we have 10 interventionists, and they were funded out of unrestricted as well. And with the Learning Recovery Block Grant, we moved approximately about $1 million as well from unrestricted to restricted. Again, these movements or reclassification are just one-time savings to utilize those grant funds.
So does that mean that next year, when they're moved back to the general fund, right, does that mean that we're gonna go back to the 4.9 deficit?
Not necessarily. So for the 24-25 year, so we still have some funds available for the Learning Recovery Block Grant. And then also because of the increase in enrollment for the current year, 24-25, which then we can see reap the benefit of that in the following years. So we also show an increase in our LCFF revenue, which is the local control funding formula. So if we don't decrease, if the enrollment and ADA and things like that continue to be pretty steady, even if we lose 50 students or whatnot, and then everything should remain intact. The other big part also is the COLA. So if this year we received 1% COLA, and then the next couple of years, I believe it's 2.9 and 3 point something, so that's fairly reasonable. At least it covers our increases in our step and column adjustment for salaries, as well as some of the increases that we're experiencing in cost to operational cost.
Now, I know that the final COLA won't be decided until later, but in the past, we have made this type of prediction and it didn't turn out to be. So how confident are you that we are in the right number? Because during CSBA, the Legislative Analyst Office did not say it was 2.98, it was more like 2.0. So where is this number coming from, and do you expect it to stay close to that?
So the numbers are coming from the county, and they use the LAO, which is the Legislative Accountant's Office, and they also use the school services dartboard. So those are
so you're pretty confident with this
yeah,
number. Okay.
But again, it's hard to say because they have to look at. It's hard to predict. They're thinking their prediction are those things. However, we have to wait until the big revenues when they start receiving the big revenues, which are your sales taxes, your personal taxes, as well as the business income taxes. So just I think it was last quarter where they saw an increase in collections from the taxes from the business income taxes. So I feel like with that increase and exceeding what they were projecting and actually an increase that we might see that would hopefully come to fruition in when we see the budget update in January.
Great, thank you. Thank you, ladies, for this. I know it's a lot of work you put in, and I appreciate it.
Can I have a motion for approval for item number 8.3?
I motion to approve item 8.3.
Our first interim report, we have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Did you get
Aye.
a second?
Yeah, I got a second.
I know, she's asked.
I know, I didn't hear who.
Oh,
Paul.
okay. Now, all those in favor again?
Aye.
Any opposition? There you go. Good job.
Yay.
We
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
hanging in there, you guys. Love you. All right, the next item is moving to the consent calendar. The consent calendar is approved with one vote and two motions, a motion and a second, from items 10.1 through 13.3. I want the audience to know that collectively that is about $11.7 million of activity. That's about $167,000 of educational services, and the majority of it is in warrants and payroll, which is business service, and then personnel service. So the collective of those three things is about $11.7 million. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, nobody is pulling any items, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? No. All of them were approved. It brings us to 14.1. It is 8:57. This meeting is adjourned. You made it through your first night, and your support system's still here. Mine left, just for the record.